Warm Pacific greetings to our partners, network members, colleagues, and those who have taken time to be part of this Talanoa from across the region, and welcome to the second series of the Agritourism Experience Talanoa webinar. SPTO is partnering with SPC's POETCom and Party 2 to share good practices, lessons learned and experiences regarding agribusiness and communities, promoting inclusiveness and discussing new opportunities that would impact economies and livelihoods in the region during these challenging times. Today's Talanoa aims at showing how organics can contribute to boosting the development of the agritourism sector, particularly in light of the shock brought about by COVID-19 to the tourism industry, while sharing its true value with the theme, organically tilled from farm to table. I have the privilege today of introducing the Honorable Minister for Commerce, Trade, Tourism and Transport for Fiji, the Honorable Faiyaz Koya, for his opening remarks, which he has kindly presented through a pre-recorded video presentation, which our team will now play for you. Thank you and enjoy the Talanoa session.
The Pacific Tourism Organization Chief Executive Officer, Chris Cocker. Dr. Paul Viveli, Deputy Director General Science and Capability Pacific Community, the POETCom Coordinator, Jim Peace, members and participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. When we think about agritourism, we visualize agriculture meeting tourism. We visualize educational experiences for guests, and we visualize farmers turning their land into a destination and opening their doors to share what they can do. But it's so much more than that. Agritourism is the symbiotic relationship between tourism and agriculture that combines the essential elements of both sectors to offer added socioeconomic benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, the world as we know has changed exponentially in the past 1 year. For us in Fiji, the second wave of COVID-19 brought us more desolation than the first. And despite everything, the Fijian government remains committed to working with the industry to find solutions and ensure that we are ready to welcome visitors back when it is safe and the borders reopen. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to reach our economic aspiration, vaccination of the vast majority of the adult population is key. Scientific evidence suggests that mass vaccination is the only way out of this crisis. And this is now also backed up by country experiences where high rates of vaccination have brought some form of normalcy. We have ramped up our vaccination drive with a national target of 80% of the target population fully vaccinated by the end of October 2021. We have secured enough vaccines through the support of our partners, such as India, Australia, New Zealand, the United States of America, and the COVAX facility for all eligible Fijians. As of the 19th of July, 401,404 Fijians, or 68.4% of the target population, is vaccinated, and 80,894 Fijians, or 13.8%, are fully vaccinated. Ladies and gentlemen, Fiji's strategy is simple. If we need to defeat coronavirus, we need to vaccinate 80% of our adult population, or 470,121 Fijians. No vaccination means no tourists and no economic recovery. Ladies and gentlemen, for many of us in the Pacific, tourism offers important opportunities for recovery, providing a chance to build back better through the tourism value chain and investing in models that focus on the empowerment of local communities, inclusion and the preservation of local natural and cultural resources and traditional activities. What the pandemic has also done is triggered more interest from travelers demanding new experiences that are authentic, safer, and more unique. That means one thing: diversification, sustainability, and resilience. These three core pillars that need to be ingrained in all that we do moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, last Friday, Fiji announced the 2021-2022 national budget. And through this budget, we aim to keep Fijians safe, foster sustainability, and build resilience. We are reforming taxes, easing regulatory burden, protecting jobs, encouraging entrepreneurship, most importantly, investing in areas to enable us to be future fit. Ladies and gentlemen, the Fijian government is focused on promoting local produce in the tourism market, improving the livelihood of local farmers and lowering Fiji's import bill. A 2018 study, From Farm to the Tourist Table, highlighted chefs at Fiji's main hotels and the key in creating the food experience for visitors and maintaining food safety standards. This food experience, without a doubt, can create extended pathways toward agritourism, where food enthusiasts can experience a journey from farm to table. In addition, through programs such as our very own national brand, the Fijian Made by Fijian campaign, we have created opportunities, especially for farmers, to get brand recognition locally and globally. Under this brand, we have created the Fijian Organic label. This branding is for the high-end niche Fijian produce and markets. Ladies and gentlemen, the launch of the Fijian Organic in 2018 meant a beginning for local farmers who use organic farming methods. The organic market worldwide remains emergent as consumers are becoming increasingly health conscious and concerned about the environment, where people are willing to pay a higher price. These emblems complement Fiji's efforts to integrate more agriculture and organic produce into the food supply chain and employ Fijians along the value chain. It is therefore important that the tourism sector remains focused on a sustainable recovery and builds a strong foundation for a resilient and food secure industry for our days ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, last year we partnered with the Ministry of Agriculture and the UN Food and Agriculture Organization to create awareness involving renowned chefs such as Lance Sito and farmers. Chef Sito cooked using local ingredients, which the farmers appreciated. We will build on this partnership and continue to create synergies. These are examples of clear indications that agritourism requires a collaborative approach from the industry, farmers, and development partners. I would say it requires a regional approach, as tourism and agriculture are two critical sectors for all of us. The pandemic has definitely provided us an opportunity to look within and see how, as a region, we can develop ideas to support our industries. We can also learn from each other's experience, and instead of reinventing the wheel, we can borrow and incorporate ideas into our own domestic policies. Coming back to today's webinar on agritourism, focuses on networking, innovation, marketing, diversification, and value adding. It is about creating a vital link between primary sectors. It also presents hoteliers and farmers an opportunity to identify markets for locally grown and organic produce for our biggest market, the tourism industry, in diversifying the visitor's experience. Ladies and gentlemen, as a region, we need to work on the principles of restarting on a stronger, fairer, and more sustainable footing. We know that the Pacific's path to recovery hinges on mass vaccination. We know this because we can see bigger, more developed economies with greater vaccine access and rates already traveling intra-regionally. With pent-up travel demand, even when we reach our collective goal of being vaccinated, we will need to be competitive. We will need to go well and beyond what we traditionally offered and meet those demands while creating greater returns. We have a plan to return our economy to pre-COVID growth rates, but we cannot do this alone. We need your support. We need you to play your part, and we need this to be a regional effort. We need you to be innovative, introduce new products into the market, and employ Fijians, and your government will be there to support you. Ladies and gentlemen, today's webinar is a great way to share experiences and lessons and challenges and opportunities, and I thank the Pacific community and Pacific Organic and Ethical Trade Community, POETCom, Pacific Tourism Organization, and the Pacific Agribusiness Research and Development Initiative Phase 2 for coordinating this webinar today on agritourism. I wish our speakers well in sharing their experiences and the true value of how organic branding can contribute towards boosting the development of the agritourism sector. And thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you everyone for joining us in this second Talanoa of the Agritourism webinar series. My name is Flavia Ciribello, and I'm a gender advisor for the Pacific Organic and Ethical Trade community. And today I will be the moderator for this event. Thanks a lot to the Honorable Minister Koya for these welcoming remarks and for the excellent message, and for his support to the organic movement. And of course, thanks to Chris Cocker from SPTO, to SPTO and Party 2 for our partnerships in this initiative. Today, we will have 3 speakers. During their presentation, you are most welcome to share your question in the chat box or by raising your hand. At the end of the presentations, there will be a Q&A session. So we will make time to respond to your questions. So now, as we don't have so much time, I would like to introduce the first speaker, Jim Pierce. Jim Pierce is the coordinator of the Pacific Organic and Ethical Trade Community, POETCom, since June 2019. In his role, he provides leadership to the staff in order to oversee the development and efficiency of all POETCom projects. Born and raised in the USA, Jim has been involved with the organic sector for 30 years. His experience includes working in product development, quality assurance, organic certification and compliance, farmer relations, and organic, as well as animal welfare standards development. Jim, over to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Flavia. PowerPoint to come here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Thank you to the Honorable Minister for your comments. I look forward to looking at those in more detail later, because I heard a lot of good things that he had to say. Thank you, Christopher, the rest of the partners, and especially for the participants who've taken time out this morning to be with us. Thank you also especially to Missy, Io, and Susana, whose stories you're going to hear soon. Amelia, we have the PowerPoint coming up, please. Oh, here it comes. And I will just cue you to change screens, please. Leave it here for the moment. Unlike Missy, Io, and Susana, and many of the rest of you, I am non-Indigenous to the Pacific. But like them, and like most of you, I'm head over heels in love with the Pacific. And have seen how beautiful and delicate the environment is, and how much potential the Pacific has for showing people how sustainability can work. I have only a few minutes here to establish a symbiotic relationship, as you said, between organic practices and the way forward for Pacific tourism post-COVID. And I'm going to highlight an aspect of POETCom that we have, which is the Pacific Organic Tourism and Hospitality Standard. This will follow up on the field to fork experiences that we saw in the first webinar from Flores Mew and Miss Sunshine Organic, and from Richard Makam and the Kokomana, Fiji. There's a lot of other good examples of agritourism and sustainable tourism that's happening throughout the Pacific. Many of them are POETCom members. Women in Business in Samoa, a lot of members in Vanuatu who has a solid policy for tourism. You're going to hear from the Bulachino farm in the next webinar, and from another farmer in Tahiti. We have the Leluvia Island here in Fiji as well, and the Batavaro private islands. Lots of examples. Next slide, please. Who is POETCom? POETCom, excuse me. POETCom is the peak body for organic movement in the Pacific. Our 3 main areas of work are governance, capacity building, and advocacy. The POETCom and Organic Pacifica, which is our label, arose from the belief that traditional agriculture farming practices can be strengthened, coordinated, and shared to meet challenging needs of our region. Originally formed in 2012, it formally became POETCom and is housed within the Land Resources Division of SPC, the Pacific Community. Next slide, please. Our vision is that organic and ethical trade is the key contributor to sustaining our cultures and communities. Organics is the key, and I'm going to show you that in the next few slides. Communities includes the tourism communities and all of the agriculture, the restaurants, the hospitality industry communities. Next slide, please. POETCom is built on 5 organic principles. The first 4 are international global principles: health, ecology, fairness, and care. The 5th principle, culture and tradition, is unique to the Pacific Organic Standards and originated within POETCom because it is such an important part of the Pacific way, right? So we have added this additional principle to our standards and to our program, and it is the one I think that overlaps as much as any with the values and the mission that we're trying to accomplish with the reinvention of tourism post-COVID. All right, next slide, please. A very quick definition of organic production. I debated keeping this slide in, and we'll just spend a moment on this. This is an international global definition of organic. It's also the definition that we use in our standards. The last sentence here combines tradition and innovation and science to benefit shared environment and promote fair relationships and a good quality of life for all involved. That again directly ties and links to the movement that we're doing here with agritourism. Next slide, please. Just a very quick shot of the cover of the Pacific Organic Standard. POETCom manages this standard. We could do a 2-day training on organic standards, but we won't today, of course. But these are the rules. They're internationally reviewed and approved. The Pacific Organic Standard was deliberately designed as a brochure to show the beauty of the Pacific agriculture movement, organic movement, and is deliberately written with language that is easy to understand. It's been put into several translations. In addition to how to grow crops and livestock and fish organically, our standard also includes sections on social justice, climate change, biodiversity requirements, and an emphasis, of course, on sustaining and building the indigenous culture and traditions. Next slide, please. A few examples of organic labels. You've probably seen many of these. The Organic Pacifica label is the POETCom front-facing, consumer-facing label. This can be used with the Pacific Organic Hospitality Standards. So next slide, please. And this is the main slide I want to talk about today. In addition to the Pacific Organic Standards, POETCom also developed this Pacific Organic Tourism and Hospitality Standard. It was created in 2012. It has been tested and reviewed. It has been critiqued and has a great potential for this project we're working on, which is to develop sustainable tourism standards and to reinvent tourism post-COVID. The aims of the standard are to protect consumers and farmers against false or misleading claims, and we've all seen things in the advertising that can be very confusing to consumers as far as natural, real, sustainable, organic. A set of defined practices helps with that. It covers all stages of production, including processing, storage, transport, marketing, right? And then it promotes Pacific organic production in particular, in the beauty of the Pacific and how to leverage that within the hospitality industry. In short, it is a very good fit with the project that we're doing. There's a lot in this standard that could be directly put into a broader based sustainable tourism standard. As you see on the right-hand side of the slide, the Pacific Organic Tourism Standard includes social values, so it touches on human rights, gender inclusion and equality, labor rights. It has this section of standards on sustainability, so supply management, menu development, consumables that are used in the industry, inputs for both food, hotels, landscaping, labeling and promotion is all covered, and then a section on environment. covering soil and water, biodiversity, landscaping, waste management, nutrient cycling, climate change mitigation. So again, there's a lot in this standard. The last and maybe most important thing about the tourism standard that I want to bring up is there's 3 types of certification. A client, a restaurant, a business could choose to become fully certified to the standard. That'd be for lodges, retreats, resorts, accommodation houses, even in villages. Backpacker hostels could become fully, cruise ships even could become fully certified to the standard. Or someone could develop a menu with certified organic dishes or a full certified organic menu. Some of this we've seen and has worked out quite well. Or a restaurant could choose to be a certified organic restaurant. That could be a standalone restaurant or one within a resort or a bigger hotel complex. Next slide, please. I try to bring it home here. I show the why organics is specific because this has universal application throughout the Pacific. We in the Pacific are ground zero for the effects of climate change. We know that the industrial food system doesn't work and has done great harm to the environment, including and especially in the Pacific. We could probably say the same thing about the tourism, is that the industrial system of tourism is doing more harm than good to the environment in the Pacific. One of the blessings of the curse of COVID is the chance to rethink and revise, to reform, to reboot, and then to reinvent the way we look at tourism in the Pacific. Bringing it back to where I started this discussion, organic is the key contributor to that reinvention and that reboot and that next iteration of tourism. Next slide, please. And this is my last one. And I wanted to bring this in because this is from the Vanuatu Tourism Plan. And I don't know if all of you are familiar with the concept of tourism leakage, but a lot of money is generated through tourism. And yet, often, a lot of that money goes back out of the country. The point is that agritourism and the relationships that are built with local, sustainable supply turns this from a linear equation to a cycle. Cycling financial and economic, cycling the nutrients. It's built on relationships, which are more difficult sometimes to maintain, but are more valuable in the long run. And in the end, will result in a much fuller tourist experience and a better understanding of what the Pacific truly has to offer. Next slide is my last slide. And thank you very much for joining. We will be putting up a very short poll during the Q&A here. So stay tuned for the main speakers to tell their stories of their farms. And thank you very much for spending time with me. Minaka.
Thank you so much, Jim. It was a great presentation. It was also very nice to see the holistic approach of the organic movement. Thanks a lot, Jim. So now is the time for Io and Missy Vakapora from Cook Island. Missy is a Maori from New Zealand, while Io is from a Maori from Cook Island. They've been growing organic since 2014. They've been introduced to the organic certification during a workshop run by POETCom. Io and Missy contributed to the development of the organic movement in Cook Island by being active member of Natura Kuki Airani, an organic farmers organization, which was formed in 2016 under a project jointly implemented by POETCom and IFAD. Missy has been an executive member of Natura Kuki Airani since 2017, secretary from 2018 till now, while Io has been a vice chair since 2018. Their goal is to help other producers to shift from conventional to organic. They support any organization that is fighting for healthier living and ecological and sustainable practices in agriculture. Thanks a lot for all your work, and over to you.
Thank you, Flavia. Hi to everyone. This is our first time doing this, so please excuse us if we go a little bit off track. So as she said, as members of NKA, our job is to pretty much grow organic, and we want to take that to other growers that are still growing conventionally. So, as members of a certifying organisation here through the PGS POS standard, we've been given permission to certify other growers. At the moment, we have 13 certified organic members with an area that covers about 23 acres, and we have about 3 to 5 acres still under conversion at the moment. So, agritourism, okay. Here in the Cook Islands, it's good to note that our soil is sandy loam, which doesn't allow for chemicals to drain down and keep, because our island is only like 32.3 k's round, so you can pretty much see it in about half an hour to 45 minutes. So what it does here is it's slowly leaking into our marine and ecological systems here. So for us, organic practices are one of the best ways to go, because we're also sustainable and regenerating soil. For the tourism industry here in the Cook Islands, pre-COVID, I believe it was almost 65%, maybe a bit more, of our GDP here. So, yeah, tourism is a very big money earner here on the islands. And of late, Agritourism has come in, which is a new concept here. I think maybe the last few years.
Yeah.
We've had to deal with it. Now, in our garden ourselves, what we've done is we've started introducing tourists who mainly pretty much just walk in off the road, street, or happen to turn down our driveway by mistake. So what is happening is most of the growers now are starting to generate accommodations or small accommodations next to their gardens that allows them to take them from visiting their place to walking outside of their door, going into a garden and picking pretty much anything that is growing at the time. With the organic standards that we hold, diversity in the garden is key. So they're getting pretty much what you would normally get on a really huge island, say Aussie, New Zealand, Fiji even. They're getting those produce now in a smaller volume garden. We want to promote organic growing to more of the local growers, so that our local people, more so than exporting out, because we're very small, so competing with other countries may be a lot harder. But to get the local growers to start growing organically, added to the accommodations that they have, because they've got B&Bs, hotels, resorts. Everywhere. They're pretty much all over the island at the moment. Like I said, it's the major money earner here. And they're getting inspiration through this agritourism to have these people go through, pick, and from the garden, straight out of the soil, straight to washing it in the kitchen, straight on their table and having a kai.
Yeah.
Now, although some of them are still doing it the other way, more conventionally, we're trying to get them to do it organically, because you can't walk out to a normal garden and eat, whereas in an organic one, you pretty much just rub it on your t-shirt and have a kai. So in that way, it's given us that extra boost to encourage other growers to grow organic, and having that on your accommodation, say like on Facebook, when you're advertising for holiday destinations, is an even bigger boost, because the world is going organic anyway. They want more healthier eating, more healthier living. Nobody wants to live next to chemicals. And having a garden where you can just walk out, pick it, eat it, even before you even give it a wash, because we've had a lot of people do that to us. They're pretty much walking down there, you're explaining your vegetables to them, and they're helping themselves like the insects and the birds and all the wildlife do. So for that gives us a great feeling inside, especially when they smile at you and say they haven't done this in years. And I remember when my grandparents used to do it. So, you know, it's that feeling and connecting to the people from your garden to their accommodations, and especially tourists. They've got so many stories, and when we get talking to them in the garden, they tend to spend a lot more time in our garden than they realise, and it's kind of hard to get them out. So you may be doing some work in your garden and somebody walks off the road, says, oh, you don't mind if I come and have a look? So you let them in and they're there for another hour and a half. So yeah, but for us, we have a few members that have now started building accommodations and are attached to their gardens, along with, I have to give a plug out to one of our members, Hinano. She has a garden. We call it the Botanical Gardens of Rarotonga. Yeah. And she's been growing it for 26 years and it's been organic. She was certified last year through the standards and she is fully organic now. She's just rebuilding her cafe and wants to introduce all of her veggies and produce from her own garden into the cafe, which we think is a wonderful idea. We also have another gentleman and his wife who want to export to New Zealand. They found a little niche market. They've just been certified organic for Moringati. We're still waiting on their processing plant to go up and running before we can go through and certify them completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they've been organic now for, gee, how long's Robin been organic?
It started with Iro, Te Awa Iro, as a member. So
14, yeah. 15?
16,
16?
17.
They were certified last year, so we're still trying to get our dates right. But for us, we use a combination, or all our members do, those ones that hold accommodations attached to their gardens, they do that agritourism.
Yep.
And they've found it a lot more popular now being certified organic than just being by word of mouth organic. So their numbers and their accommodation bookings have now grown a lot more. And more so now that our borders are open, so the New Zealand side of the tourism business is coming back. Pre-COVID, well, when the COVID hit, I should say, what started happening in the Cook Islands is a majority of people started growing their own veggies, but they didn't want, there were a lot of old people that didn't want to use all the conventional methods or the man-made inputs, so they went back to traditional growing, we call it. And so for them, we've had phone calls where members have gone out and actually helped them to grow in pots, small gardens, gave advice on organic materials or inputs that they can use. And they also have like B&Bs on the side that help them to grow their, another form of money, I guess, because employment as well. There are the local restaurateurs, there's a few now, but one in particular, Philip Nord, is a chef, a pretty well-known one here. I'm not sure if he's well-known over there. He works at OTB. He now showcases local organic produce and has a TV program once a week that he calls the Chef's Table. And in that, he prefers organic produce to use, so he'll select the key ingredient and then he'll make a 3-course meal out of it. And lately he's been pushing for the government, along with Hinano, who's our botanical garden grower, for the government to start getting on board with the organic movement. So for us, we're...
For a while.
Yeah, for a while.
For some time.
Yeah, so we're hoping that with the government getting on board with organics and stopping the conventional side, and a lot of the restaurateurs, the chefs in the restaurants, hotels, and even some of the accommodations who are hunting for that organic produce so they can add it, give it to their visitors and guests, is a very huge jump from where it usually is. Even though here, people tend to shy away from the organic side of things because for them, you say organic and they think more money. And most people will go back to just buying the conventional stuff. But we have decided as a group ourselves that if we can produce the organic side here on the island, we'll cut out all of those overheads that come into going into the cost of growing organic and buying organic produce, and we could maybe offer it a lot cheaper, because right now our country spends over $23 million a year importing vegetables. Of that, 4 to 5 million of it is organic. And I believe, or we believe, that there is a way that we can go to the supermarkets, local dairies, restaurateurs, owners, and everything else, and supply the organic vegetables ourselves. We may not be able to do it 100%, but even if we manage to get 10% of that, it's viable. But the full-on experience of accommodation, agriculture, tourism, I believe organics is the only way to go. It allows people to feel and experience the gardens. They come here, they stay. There's working holidays attached to some of the accommodations and members B&Bs that they have. So they'll give a discount on their prices so long as they spend an hour in their garden. And what it is, most of their feedback has been, the one thing that they love so much about it is it's organic. And as far as we're concerned, sustainable practices, ecological systems, and saving of our own planet, not counting, including rara, organics is near perfect for us. And as a small island, and we have 14 other smaller islands attached to the Cook Islands, yeah, if we can generate soil mass, land mass, and protect our marine life, our streams, our rivers, and organics is the way to go. So, am I missing anything?
I don't know. Isn't there supposed to be pictures sliding up and down?
Yeah, so I would like just, I want to, actually, thanks a lot. It was great. I would like just to show to our participants some pictures that you sent us, because they're beautiful.
Jim had pictures sliding up and down.
Yeah, no, we were like waiting for you to.
Yeah, so, pretty much, yeah, this is when we set this one up for World Food Day in 2019, I think it was. This is our last World Food Day that Io and I attended by ourselves. Eventually, the other members joined us. So this was part of what came out of the garden, and this was taken the morning of the actual World Food Day in 2019. So yeah. Oh, that's us too. This is what my husband calls gardening. It is a G-A-R-T-E-N-I-N-G. What it is putting art into your garden. So this is one section of the garden that, yeah, he was inspired by. Well, this section here is dedicated to COVID-19. So that was created in 2019 after the COVID hit. And it represented part of my culture, New Zealand, Māori, and his culture further up is Cook Island, and for those ones that we'd lost, family members, and those ones around. So yeah, this is how this one came about.
Yeah, for me, I believe gardens shouldn't be, all about straight lines, and yeah, it's got to put some fun in it, add some colours to make it just exciting. The bottom corner left is one of the members from New Zealand. The bottom right is a member from here in New Zealand who's right into the microgreens. And it's nice when a whole team of experts come together and just shine that light for everyone to see. And it's a beautiful world to be, and it's fantastic to be part of.
And the one with the flowers, somebody asks us, why did you grow flowers in the garden? Well, they're beneficial for the insects.
Absolutely.
And they're edible.
Yeah. And a lot of the Cook Island people, they haven't quite grasped the idea of flowers being eaten. And so we thought we'll introduce them to it. And right now they're just getting all excited with the flowers. And there is so much over here we can offer. Next is the frozen, so we're tapping into that.
Emilia, you can show also the other pictures because yeah, okay, that's great.
For sure.
Yeah, you can just
because they're great.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All of this garden is in the Valley of the Kings over here in the Cook Islands.
Yeah, this was part of the certification process we went through for a few of our members, and one of the historical marae connected to one of the gardens on the cleanup day. So yeah.
Great. Frozen food. Oof, beautiful. And this is something that we're tapping into. We thought about this concept in 2015 and actually put it into practice in 2019.
Yeah,
and these are the very first photos.
The natural way of growing.
Yep.
He's one of our members too. He does this every day. He doesn't have running hoses or drip hoses. He continually does that.
This is one of our environmentalists. And when it comes to vetiver grass, I always send everyone over to see Andy when it comes the matter of the hills. Yeah, send him over to Andy.
That's the panoramic view of one of our gardens.
Yeah, we didn't have a what do you call them? Flying things. Yeah, go up and then you take a
drones.
Drones, yeah, from way up there down. And if we had that, I think we can actually
this
share a whole lot.
Is because the garden's been in fallow for about the last almost to a year now.
Yep.
And this is a re-beginning of it all over again.
And it's looking beautiful.
And that's been done in the last few months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So we are all waiting for the borders to open again to visit you guys. Thanks a lot. It was a beautiful presentation. Thanks. So now thanks to you.
Yeah.
So now I would like just to give the floor to Miss Susana Yalicanacea from Didia Island. She's a former agriculture officer. She has started her own organic business in Didia Island, which is part of the Lao group in Fiji, by producing local products such as virgin coconut oil and dill oil, and selling them overseas and locally. She has been carrying out trainings all over the Pacific to share her knowledge and skills. Since 2013, Didia Island is the first fully organic island in the Pacific, and Susana was instrumental for the organic movement for POETCom to secure funding for the development of the PGS organic certification. So over to you, Susana. I know that maybe your internet is not that great, but let's see if it goes. Thanks a lot, Susana, for being with us.
Bula Flavia. Hi, good morning. This is from Cicia, the organic island in the Pacific, and like what Flavia said, I'm Susana Yalicanacea, and I'm a retired agricultural officer. And actually, the island, we banned the use of chemicals and fertilizers in 2006. And we actually got a declaration in 2013, and this year was certified organic in 2014. So it was a period of 7 years before when we banned the pesticide and fertilizers before we actually got certified organic. So there are two main things that really I want you to talk on. That is the organically tilled from the farm to the table and the value of organic in agritourism. Well, Vivia is 1 hour by flight from the mainland and 16 hours by boat. So we are totally on our own. And the boat serves us as two times a month. And during this lockdown, it is 2 times a week. 2 times a month. So it is just bringing in cargo, and there's no traveling in between the island and the mainland. And I do have 5 accounts on Facebook. That is one way of promoting what I'm doing here on the Organic Island. My personal account, Taste of Organic, that is where I promote our traditional food from the farm to the table. Promoting our traditional farm, how we cook how we prepare our traditional food, and the traditional method of planting crops. And the third one is Organic Salavo. I have my processing site at the Salavo. The name is Salavo. So that is where I post all the activities that I do on the island. That is Organic Salavo. And the fourth one is the COMA, or the Vizier Organic Monitoring Agency. That is where I post the general activities on the Organic Island. And I also have a page on poems from the organic mind. I do write poems. So that is where I write down whatever comes to mind and I note it down. So like with the agritourism, farm to the table. That is one way of reviving our traditional method of preparing our food. And also another thing that I'm focusing on is to revive our traditional way of living, or the organic living. We have just built a mbure, or the Fijian hut, Fijian house. It was funded by IFED, and it is completed. And to me, it is mainly to accommodate the participants, because I do training, and mostly on coconut value-added products, virgin coconut oil and other value-added products, and the other things that we can do from our resources, natural resources that are here on the island. So what I'm trying I'm aiming at is to try and utilize whatever is available around us on the Organic Island, especially in this time, during the lockdown time or during the pandemic time. Instead of relying so much on processed food, so we have to utilize whatever is around us. So that is where I post all what I do on the Organic Salab, or the activities that we do out there. And we have completed the mbure, and we are going to start next week, even though there is no visitors coming in. So we have our local people on the island that are interested in coming in to stay in the mbure, to experience or to come and stay there for say 2, 3, or 1 week. So they are asking me that they really want to come there and stay there. So they have there used to be no processed food to be brought in there. So we have all the fishing net and everything over there for them to use while they are there in Salavo. And we will also run training for the youth in the villages. Like we will bring in one from each village. There are 5 villages on the island, and we accommodate them over there and teach them how to reviving the traditional mbure. Because if you go around the villages nowadays, there's hardly any Fijian house or Fijian mbure around. So it is all. So we are trying to encourage that and when they go back, they build one in each village, and whenever the borders open again, we have the visitors coming in. So we will encourage them to go to all the villages in Vizia, and they stay there. And to encourage the preparing of traditional food like what we're trying to do now, to do here, from the farm to the table, to do traditional food, prepare the traditional way, and we plant it. And we will work together with agricultural staff on the island in getting in the planting materials. If we go around now, like I was working in the Ministry of Agriculture for 32 years, it was us who were introducing, or we were bringing in all these agro inputs to increase our yield. So what we're trying to do now is to reverse the method. Like we have been certified in 2014. So it is 7 years now, right? It is 7 years now. So, and whenever we have tourism coming in, we want when they come in, we want them to come and see Vivia as it is, the way we live, what we do, what we eat, and we are encouraging that to in primary schools and in the secondary. We have one secondary school too over here, and that was where we had the certification, the launching of the certification. And for marketing, we also do traditional arts, traditional crafts, and we all in Salabo, we sell on Facebook. Whatever we do on in Salabo with the virgin coconut oil, with Ndilo oil. Virgin coconut oil we're selling at $15 for the 500 meals, $8 for the 250 meals, and with the Ndilo oil we sell it for $300 1 liter. We have a lot of Ndilo teas around, and we sell it. We just sell it on Facebook. We make soap. We make our own soap. So this is the best time to be doing our product with lockdown time. We are making our own soap. We're making our own oil, and we're cooking with virgin coconut oil, with coconut oil, and some of the very expensive and very healthy oil, Dilo and virgin coconut oil. And we also have
minute, Susana, just one extra minute if you don't, just 1 minute more. Sorry about that. So we have some time for the questions. Sorry
okay.
about that.
And roughly, I think that's all that we have. And with the population over here is 1,107, and we have a total area of 3,400 hectare. And roughly that is actually what we're doing out here on Vivia. Yeah, the last one is marketing, and we sell on Facebook. And it's all there. I think that's all, Flavia.
Thank you so thank you so much, Susana, for sharing with us the experience from Didia. And also it's very nice to know that you can still get some local visitors from the same island. So that's very nice to hear. And that setting is beautiful with all the birds chirping. So yeah, thanks a lot for that. And sorry for having cut you off, but I just like to make time for some questions for you, Jim, and Missy and Io. But thank you so much. I know that it has been a bit a challenge for you to get there, to get the right connection, and I really appreciate. Thanks. So I would like to open the Q&A session. So if anyone has a question, you can write in the chat box, or you can raise your hands. Sandia, is anyone raising who would like to talk? If I don't see a lot, okay, no. Stephanie, while waiting for people like to break the ice, can I share from my screen some pictures of Susana? Would that be possible? Maybe I can just try. Oh, no, I think I can try.
Have you have a question from William Ramsey?
Oh, okay, perfect.
In the chat?
Yeah. So let me see.
Hey guys, I was just wondering, are there any incentives done by Pacifica to convert farmers to organics? Apart from the additional sort of marketing and also labeling, do you guys have any sort of programs in place to encourage people financially?
Jim,
Hello,
you would like to?
this is Jim. Yes, I can take a shot at that. That's a very good question, and it is a global challenge because there typically are no support programs while somebody is transitioning their farm to organic. We've just started onto a 4-year project at through Land Resources Development that does have capacity for not only training local auditors, which will bring down the cost of organic, but also to support farms through the certification process. It's important that we'll choose farms that are set up to be sustainable and to be able to handle those costs even after the end of the project, because otherwise if somebody loses their support and they cannot maintain it on their own, they invariably lose their certification, and that's not the goal. So no, there are not ongoing programs, but yes, we are on the very beginning of a great opportunity that'll be throughout the Pacific. So we'll be looking for participants. Okay, thank you.
If there is no other question, I would like just show some pictures from Susana. I hope you don't mind, Susana, but Steve shared with me these pictures and I think they're lovely. Let's see. Can you all see? Yeah, I guess so. Wait. And yeah. Okay, so now I want to. Okay. Now I don't know if okay, stop sharing. Okay, so we have another question and then so from Katie, there is a question from Katie, right? Katie? Over to you.
Effie asked if the program I talked about will apply to aquaculture, and I answered in the chat that yes, it would. It'll cover all the scopes of organic.
Thank you. Yes, sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. Thanks for your response. It's one of those things that most of these forums focus, and I understand that they focus on crops, and it always seems to be about from the land. And obviously because aquaculture is a growing industry in the Pacific, and there's not that many people who are ready to take it to the next level. So I just thought I'd join in the group and listen to what it was on offer. So thank you for including it.
So there is another question. What is the process of a certification in Fiji?
That's a very simple question to answer. The process is to contact POETCom and we'll talk to you offline. It is really a difficult, it's a variable case-by-case decision. It depends on your market and your crop or your products and your needs and expectations. But this is a question we answer routinely every week, almost every day. So if you contact POETCom, Stephen Hazelman or I, we will help you, okay?
Okay, so if there are no other questions, I think our time is over. And I would like to invite, Nimanand just share with you in the chat box our evaluation form. So it would be great if you can fill the form. It will take just like a few minutes and it will help us to improve our future webinars. And then we'll give the floor to Patricia from Party 2, who will introduce to you the next webinar. Thank you so much.
Vinaka, Flavia, and Vinaka, everyone. Warm Fiji greetings to those of you who are tuning in from outside of Fiji. First of all, I just like to thank those of you, the two presenters, for your very beautiful and inspiring and innovative stories with regards to organic farming and how you're practicing that with your communities. And I learned something new today, as in gardening, very, very innovative. And thank you for sharing that with us. I'm sure many of us who are listening in are hearing that term for the first time. Well, without much further ado, I, as one of the other partners on Party 2, I invite you all back again online next month, around about this time or mid-month, for Series 3, and that's when Party will invite some of the agritourism operators to share their experiences. And in the next series, we are hoping to bring on some honey producers to talk about their honeybee tours and their value adding products which they sell on their farms. So again, we will let you know well ahead of time next month when this date is on. So we look forward to meeting you all next month. Vinaka.